Hey family and friends, I'm Katrina with Let's Talk. On my last video, I talked to y'all about healing your body from the inside out by eating or consuming alkaline foods. Foods that are non-acidic. Foods with no acids. Here in this video, he's going to go real deep into healing your body from the inside out. Now, with that being said, let's get into the video.
Alright, so what I was talking about, y'all, I was actually talking about the 4 keys and the 4 elements to healing the mind, body, spirit, and soul. And I was talking about how there's 2 sides of nature. You have the acidic side of nature, and you have the base side of nature, or what they call the alkaline side of nature. And within that, this all consists of absorption, or what you would call consumption and elimination. Anything that's living, and anything that have carbon, anything that have hydrogen, and anything that have oxygen, or what they call the cho, the chow, the kaim, the life, the yahki, anything that have these carbon, hydrogen, and oxygen atoms inside of them, they must need fuel for they can live their everyday life. So based off of this fuel that they need food. So food, in order to eat it, you have to digest it. So digestion is one of the first keys to healing the mind, body, and soul of any type of dis-ease or imbalancing that you have within inside the physical mechanism. So I was talking about digestion, absorption, utilization, and elimination. And if you can master these 4 keys to the kingdom, then you will be at a state of homeostasis, and it will be very, very hard to get sick or have any type of disease. Or if you have disease, then you'll be able to actually heal any disease you have based off of these 4 keys to the kingdom. All right, so I want to break it down. So the first one I was talking about is digestion. Digestion is how you get any type of energy inside of your body. Whether you're into breatharianism, whether you're into liquiditarianism, whether you're into frugivorism, or whether you're into just, being vegan. In order for you to yield energy, you have to get something from the outside external environment. And this is called digestion. Now, the thing that's going on and that's wrong with us is we don't understand our digestive system. And that's the reason why we're messed up when it comes to digestion. A lot of us are cellularly constipated, and a lot of us are physically constipated on a micro and a macro level. And it's because your food combinations, you're mixing wrong food. So it's taking a longer process for your body to digest the food to yield energy. So anytime that we can cut these things short and make it more simplistic or simple, because we're prokaryotic cells, we're not eukaryotic cells, meaning our food and our fuel is based off of simplicity, then we can start fixing and healing our digestive system. So the first key to the kingdom is digestion. Make sure that you're eating and digesting the right foods. The right foods for you are going to be monosaccharide. A monosaccharide is a simple single sugar, and this simple single sugar is naturally occurring and naturally found in your fruits and in your vegetables. Fruits is fructose, vegetables yield glucose, and then you have the black woman's breast that yields a milk, and this milk is full of sugars and fat ratios, and this is called galactose. So these are your monosaccharide sugars, and these sugars yield 12 angstroms of energy. It's one of your most highly energetic sugars that you can ever intake in your body. And mind you, this is not processed sugar. This is not high fructose corn syrup. This is not bleached white sugar. This is not sugar that they done isolated out of the sugar cane. This is not sugar that they done isolated out of the fruits and then made candy out of. I'm not talking about that type of sugar. That type of sugar, processed sugar, white sugar, bleached white sugar, high fructose corn syrup sugar, that sugar causes diabetes. Fruit sugar does not cause diabetes. Fruit sugar is actually what heals diabetes. We need the sugar from fruit because it gets converted into carbon. Carbon then converts itself into carbon dioxide or carbon monoxide, and then this turns into a water, and then that water is then used as fuel to actually fire off your cells for vitality and ATP, which stands for adenosine triphosphate. That's the whole point of the digestion process anyway. But a lot of people don't understand, once you fix the digestion process, you are still making byproducts from what you're eating. Anytime you eat anything, it's going to leave back an ash, and that ash is supposed to be eliminated. That's why it's called consumption and elimination. Whatever the body consumes, the body accumulates, and it coagulates if you're not eliminating. So whatever you put inside of your body, you must have an elimination factor. If you do not eliminate what you accumulate, these things get these things get coagulated in the body, and they build up, and then it starts becoming acidic. So that's why there's 4 steps and 4 keys that's in place that'll stop this cellular constipation from killing the cells and becoming mutating cells, causing cancer, causing diabetes, causing acidosis, causing lupus, multiple sclerosis, leukemia, all kinds of cancers, sickle cell anemia. All this is about your body not eliminating what is digesting and what is consuming. All right. So then what we're talking about is making sure the foods that we're digesting is actually created for our physiology. For instance, you're eating all these complex amino acid structures. It's hard for your body to break it down because the hydrochloric acid that sits inside of your stomach sac is not even hot enough to break down these polypeptides and to break down these proteins. Your body was made to break down simple sugars, where it can break the sugars apart and get all the healing constituents out of it, get all the bioflavonoids out of it, get all the glycol frequencies out of it, get all the trace minerals out of it, and get all the amino acids out of it. A lot of people don't know, but like for instance, if you check something like the strawberry, a strawberry have more DNA than an animal. Let me say that again. A strawberry have more DNA in it than an animal. That's how much DNA and that's how much information is in fruit. So most of your amino acids is in fruits. Most of your so-called protein come from fruits and vegetables. Most of your minerals come from fruits and vegetables and dark leafy greens. So you don't need polypeptides, and you don't need peanuts, you don't need nuts, and you don't need meat to get that protein. This is what's messing up our digestive factor. And remember, the first key to the kingdom is digestion. All right, so now we're starting to see that if we have a simple digestive system, then that means we need simple foods that yield high energy. The food that yield high energy will be your natural fruits and your vegetables that are very, very watery in substance. The first fruits, like watermelons, the melon family have more water than any other fruit family. The melons, whether we're talking about your watermelon, where we're talking about cucumbers have 98% water in them, and cucumber is a melon, y'all. Your papayas, papaya is a melon. You see that? You got your cantaloupe, that's a melon. You got your honeydew, that's a melon. Then you got the watermelon, that's a melon. Then you have coconuts. Coconuts is not a melon, but this coconut is in fact a fruit that actually yields a bunch of electrolytes and water in it as well. So we need to start looking at fruits and vegetables that yield a lot of water in it, and we need to start eating that, because not only will that assimilate with the digestive system, not only will that assimilate with the body, but it will break down very, very fast, and we don't have to spend and yield all of our energy in ATP, adenosine triphosphate, ADP, adenosine diphosphate, AMP, adenosine monophosphate. We don't have to yield all that energy to be focusing on breaking down food and digestion all day, and we can be focusing on yielding the actual energy that we just ate. So the first thing you have to do is fix the digestion. The best way to fix the digestion is get off all meat, get off all protein, and go on a raw fruit and vegetable diet. And if you can't even go on a raw fruit and vegetable diet, then do cooked fruits and vegetables, but do not do anything else cooked. Do cooked fruits and vegetables. You see that stuff all the time, and you can eat things like that, right? And then work your way to the raw diet, because the raw diet, getting to breatharianism is your number one goal. But before you get to breatharianism in the digestion kingdom, you have to go through all the other ones. So of course you start off on your solid foods, your solid cooked foods, then you move over into your raw solid foods, then you move over into your raw vegetable solid foods, now you move it over into your raw fruit foods, then from there you move it over into raw juicing of your fruits and vegetables, then it's just raw juicing of your fruits, then you move to all just breathing, breatharianism, literally, y'all. So that is your highest form of intellectual exchange when it comes to getting energy and comes to exchanging or converting carbon over into energy from the actual air, y'all. I mean, people do it all the time, but you have to go through the kingdoms first. So now, since we understand what digestion is, and realize that you have to start combining your food properly, if you go to my website, www.yahkiawaken.com, click on the education tab, and once you click on the education tab, click on the food combination chart. I have a whole chart that I created many years ago to show you how to properly combine your food so you can digest the quickest and you can yield the most energy out of what you're digesting. Another thing is with digestion, when you eat simple and you eat watery foods, this actually breaks up all of the mucinoid plaque that's built up in the colon, and this actually breaks all of the saponins and all of the constituents that is stopping you from healing and stopping you from absorbing. It breaks this mucus plaque up, this acidic cationic environment up in the colon, and it helps you poop it out. Now you are flowing again, so now you're not being constipated on a macro level, because if you're constipated on a macro level, then you have to be constipated on a microcellular level. You see what I'm saying? Because cellular constipation is the beginning of all diseases. So now that you fix the digestive process, you're eating simple foods, you're eating simple amino acid structures, you're consuming simple sugars, what they call monosaccharides or disaccharides, which consist of fructose, glucose, and galactose, sometimes a little dextrose if you're mixing your fruits and vegetables, which I do not recommend. I always recommend that you eat your vegetables first, your fruits first, then your vegetables. Put your vegetables on top. That way, because vegetables take too long to actually digest. Like kale digests just like beef, y'all. It takes just as long for kale to digest in the system than beef. So stay away from the kale unless you're gonna marinate that kale and you're gonna beat that kale the same way that how you gotta beat up that steak. Do the same thing with the kale. That way you're breaking through that cellulose and you can break down the dark leafy greens quicker. If not, just stick to your fruits and stick to your simple vegetables that's high in water content, like watercress. Cabbage is high in water content. Bok choy is high in water content. Baby spinach is high in water content. Things like that is high in water content. But your kales is very, very, very tough and full of cellulose, so it's hard to break down. So a lot of people find themselves being very constipated off of kale salads and stuff like that too. So it's just simple. The digestive system is simplistic. The way you yield energy from the digestive system is simplistic. And that's the reason why we have to eat simplistically, because our digestive system is simplistic. It is not complicated like carnivores. We're not carnivores. We're not omnivores. We're not herbivores. We're frugivores that can tolerate herbs. That's what we are. We're frugivores that can tolerate herbs. And yes, you can juice your kale instead of it's best to juice it other than consuming it. If you juice it, make sure you get the right juicer though. That way you're not drinking the cellulose. Alright, so now that we got the first key, which is digestion, making sure we're mastering our digestive system, making sure that we're cleansing out our digestive system, making sure our digestive system is regulated properly, making sure we're using the bathroom at least 3 to 5 times a day, making sure our digestive system is open and flowing, and make sure that we're naturally super chewing our food, not just biting and swallowing and mess up the digestive tract. Biting and swallowing mess up the hydrochloric acid inside the stomach. Biting and swallowing mess up the pepsinogen that's created from the hydrochloric acid, because now the hydrochloric acid got to work double time to break down the big ass pieces of food because you didn't super chew it. So once you get all of this done, now it's time to start moving in the next stage of consumption and elimination, because it all starts off with consuming, and then you have to eliminate what you consume. And I'm going to show you where disease set in at. Disease set in this next stage that I'm talking about. The first one was what? Digestion. The second one is absorption. And this is where the disease really sets in there. You have something called the 9-inch intestinal tract. They call it the duodenum or the duodenum. And inside of this 9-inch intestinal tract, this is where the microvilli, these little fingers that hang inside the intestines, and inside the intestines, if you look up, it's a bunch of bacteria inside there. Biobifidum bacteria, lactobacillus bacteria, candida bacteria. You got a bunch of prokaryotic cells in there, and a bunch of probiotics, period, that just sit inside of the intestinal tract. And once the stomach breaks down the food to all of the trace minerals that it needs, to all of the monosaccharide sugars that it needs, to all of the simple amino acid structures that it needs. Well, they don't even break down to simple amino acid structures. It breaks down into simple amino acids. Then when it goes to the liver actually forms the structure on site of the cell to give the cell whatever it needs. Say if you need a new nose cell, a new hair cell, a new nail follicle. Literally, these amino acids will go to the liver. The liver will then bring it to the cell with these enzymes that the liver yield, and it will create and build the building block of life right there at the site, y'all. You know what I'm saying? So now we're dealing with the absorption. So inside of, once the stomach breaks down this food to all the phytonutrients that it needs, it then passes something called the pyloric sphincter. The pyloric sphincter is like a door that separates the stomach from the duodenum. The pyloric sphincter open up with magnesium. That's the reason why you need the mineral magnesium, because that's what relaxes the actual door, called the cardiac sphincter, that separates the esophagus from the stomach, and it actually open and close the door called the pyloric sphincter that separates the stomach from the duodenum, or what we call the small intestine tract. So now once it passes the pyloric sphincter and it gets inside the duodenum, the food starts to, these different phytonutrients that's been broken down starts falling in the fingers and the villi fingers, the microvilli of this small intestinal tract called the duodenum. Now you have trillions of bacteria that literally comes up and snatch the food. So they're snatching the food, and then they take the food through the blood capillaries. Once it goes through the blood capillaries of the blood capillaries, now the phytonutrients that you just broke down during the digestive process is now being absorbed into the bloodstream. And this is where disease happen at, because most disease is mineral deficiency and malnutrition, malabsorption. A lot of us have malnutrition because we're not absorbing. And the reason why we're not absorbing, because something is wrong inside the duodenum. Usually it's too much bacteria in there that's not good for your health. Usually it's not enough bacteria inside of there because you've been taking antibiotics all your life, or it is welded up because you've been eating a lot of acidic foods, and literally the blood capillaries and where the bacteria comes and get all the phytonutrients to take it inside the bloodstream is full of mucus, pus, and it is welded, cellular welding. Literally a cationic environment where there is not anionic at all. It's very cationic, meaning it's acidic. And what acid do? Acid burns things. Now imagine acids and mucus colliding itself together with cholesterol and calcium monotriphosphate in it. This causes calcification and what they call crystallization of mucus. So now you got these big ass crystallization pockets of mucus sitting in your duodenum. So now the bacteria cannot get none of the phytonutrients that it needs to bring into the blood capillaries, because it's a damn door there that's stopping the absorption factor from happening, because you got too much mucus and you have a stagnated lymphatic system built up inside the duodenum, and you don't have no bacteria there because you either been eating all acidic food all your life, eating meat, eating beans that's not sprouted, eating breads, which is carbonic acid, and that got so much gluten and stuff in them. Gluten acts as a sticky substance inside of the duodenum. So you mixing all these different uric acid, carbonic acid, phytic acid, all the sulfuric acid, all these acids just sitting inside the duodenum, and it's actually stopping you from absorbing. So now we have to break up that stuff up. The only way to break up this mucus and to break up this acid is by hydrating the body, which goes back to the first point where I was talking about with digestion. Fixing the digestion will ultimately fix the absorption, and you need to bring back in good bacteria. Good bacteria is going to come from our 3 bitters, y'all, especially bitter 1. Bitter 1 will realign the gut lining of all the good bacteria that you need. The bacteria is actually in control of taking all the broken down phytonutrients from the duodenum and passing it through the blood capillaries and putting it inside the bloodstream. Now, it's absorption. We talked about absorption. We talked about digestion. Now we talk about absorption. Once it gets inside the bloodstream, once the biobifiidum bacteria and all the probiotics does its job, which is passing all of these different phytonutrients into the bloodstream act like a transportation station. That's what it is. It just transport things. The blood transport oxygen to all the cells by way of iron phosphate. Iron phosphate actually holds on to the oxygen molecule. Not only that, iron phosphate is an electrical magnetic mineral, so it holds on to every other mineral. Carbon dioxide going throughout the body, because you need carbon. Carbon is melanin constituent change. All this is by way of the blood. So the food is not even in your body while it's in your digestive tract. The food only goes truly inside of the body once it passed through the blood capillaries. So you're eating food and you just shitting it out, and you never really ate the food. The food can never assimilate and become a part of you because it never entered your body. It's just stayed inside this hollow tube called the digestional tract, because the door to that, or the keys to unlock the door that's to absorption to get these phytonutrients into the blood, is being blocked off by all acid waste, y'all. You see that? By all acid waste. Y'all start pay attention, y'all. Y'all talking back and forth. Pay attention. Listen, learn. So then once it gets into the bloodstream, the blood starts dropping all these different individual minerals off at the cells. All right. So now you're absorbing. This is the good part. All right. So now we done fixed digestion. Now we done fixed absorption. But look, if you fix digestion and you're not absorbing, there's no point. There's still sickness and disease. If you fix digestion and absorption and you're not utilizing, then you still have disease. All four of these keys have to be simultaneously healed and fixing and working at once. So now we done fixed digestion by eating simple foods. We done fixed digestion by being on an alkaline fruit diet. We done fixed digestion by combining our food right. We done fixed digestion, making sure we at least pooping 3 times a day. We done fixed digestion, make sure we at least consuming at least 32 ounces of fruit juices a day. So we done fixed digestion. You done got on my GI super mover, and you done really healed the digestional tract. Now you done fixed absorption. You see that? Now you done fixed absorption. Now absorption happening right. All of the phytonutrients that you just digested is now making it into the bloodstream. Now it's in the bloodstream, it have to be utilized. What's going to utilize the sugars that's in the bloodstream? What's going to utilize the actual phytonutrients that's in the bloodstream? What's going to utilize the amino acids that's in the bloodstream? What's going to utilize all these different healing modalities that's in the bloodstream? Now we have to talk about the absorption factor. The utilization factors. What's in control of utilization is your adrenal glands. All right, so we done fixed the gut. We done fixed the duodenum in the stomach. So we done fixed the gut in the stomach. That's digestion. In your mouth, that's digestion. We done fixed the actual duodenum, which is the absorption process, by refixing, bringing all the bifidobacteria, you using my 3 bitters and restoring all of that good gut, that probiotic in the gut. Now we're going after the adrenal glands, because the adrenal glands is in control of your utilization factors. See that? So the adrenal glands is these pyramid-like structures, and these pyramid-like structures, they are the size of walnuts, and they sit on top of the kidneys. These things are in control of your sugar metabolism. It's in control of your steroid metabolism. It's in control of your melanin neurotransmitter messengers. It's called the autonomic nervous system, the parasympathetic and the sympathetic nervous system. It's in control of your water, your salt, and potassium monophosphate ratio. I mean, the adrenal glands is the true brain of the body. And the adrenal gland sits in the gut, and it sits on top of the kidneys, and it's in control of the autonomic nervous system. And I tell y'all this all the time, that auto means automatically. These are things that run on automatic that you don't have to think about, like your breathing. You don't have to think about consciously breathing. Your digestion. You don't have to think about your food breaking down in your body, your heartbeat. You don't have to think about your heartbeat. It does it on its own. It's on an automatic timer, or what you call the circadian rhythm. And this is all by the adrenal glands. So you have to heal the adrenal glands, but you can start utilizing what you just absorbed, and you can absorb what you just digest. See that? Digestion. You see that? Absorption, utilization. So you have to utilize what you absorb, and you have to absorb what you just digested. So now we're in the utilization process. Now, in order to get the adrenals online, the one herb that I know for a fact, if you don't have high blood pressure, is licorice root. Licorice root will bring, matter of fact, Jay, since we talking about that, I need a licorice root teacher label, bro. All right, I'm glad I just said that. All right, so licorice root does something to the melanin neurotransmitters of the adrenals. The adrenals, yes, you're right. The adrenals is in control of your fight or flight too, and that's why it produces something called cortisol. Cortisol produces adrenaline, or what you call adrenochrome. It also produces epinephrine, norepinephrine, oxytocin. I mean, we can talk about so many different melanin neurohormonic transmitters that the adrenal glands is in control of. But I mean, that's a whole nother topic and subject. Right now, we're talking about the absorption factor, though, utilization. So the best way to cleanse the adrenals is by cleansing the kidneys and dusting off them adrenals. For simple herbs, licorice root and wild yam root is very, very good for the adrenals. If you have high blood pressure, I would not take licorice root, because it will stroke you out and kill you. Because, your adrenal glands is in control of your cardiac kick, or what we call the cardiac punch. And the cardiac kick is the adrenal glands is producing a melanin neurotransmitter called acetylcholine. And what acetylcholine does is it opens up your heart valve because your heart acts like a valve. So it opens up your heart valve big, or open up the chamber, or it closes the chamber real small to control the blood flow throughout the rest of the body. Then what the thyroid do, the thyroid is in control of opening and closing the heart valve. See that? That's the cardiac kick. So the thyroid and the adrenal gland works together for opening up the heart valve and for pumping the blood in the body by the lungs. You see that? So we have to be very, very careful with the adrenal glands. Also, the adrenal glands is in control of your blood pressure. You have something called systolic and diastolic. Systolic is the top number. That's supposed to be at a 120. That's the cardiac kick. That's the adrenals. The bottom part is called diastolic. That's supposed to be at a 70, not an 80. And that is diastolic. It's where you get dialysis from. This talking about the kidneys. You see that? So you have systolic, diastolic, 120 over 70. Top part adrenal, bottom part kidney, showing you that your kidneys and your adrenals is directly in correlation with your blood pressure. But we ain't talking about that. That's a whole different video. So once you get the adrenals back online, and I'm going to show you the kit to get your kidneys and your adrenals back online. I'm going to show you the kidneys to get the four keys to the kingdom. I got a kit right in front of me that I'm going to show y'all what to buy that will fix everything that I'm talking about. Now that you're utilizing everything that you just absorbed, and you absorbed everything that you just digest, now all of these metabolic changes and metabolic processes is going on in the body. That's a whole lot of friction, y'all. That's a whole lot of fire, y'all. That's a whole lot of movement. That's a whole lot of activity. This shit builds up acid because you're burning things. Just by talking to y'all right now, I'm sweating. I'm not running. I'm not, just by talking. All of this metabolic process is going on inside the body just by talking to y'all. I am building up something called lactic acid. My pits are straight sweating right now. I'm building up lactic, my neck's sweating because I'm talking. I'm not moving, I ain't doing sit-ups or push-ups. Just by using just a little bit of energy, I have to compensate from that energy. And acid is a byproduct of me opening my mouth. Same thing that happens when you eat and when you digest, when you absorb and you utilize. All energy is being burnt to use this fuel to go through these keys and to go through these processes. So you're building up acidic waste just by living. You don't have to do shit to build up acids. That's why it behooves us to really stop, to get out of the alkaline acid mindset for real. The reason why I say it so much because y'all identify with it. But everything can end up acidic because you got to burn shit. When you burn fuel in your car, you get what? Carbon dioxide. That's the whole point of you having an exhaust system or tailpipes on your car. That don't mean the acid's bad. That's just a byproduct of burning fuel. When you burn fuel every time you talk, you walk, you eat, you work out, you have sex, you sleep, you're burning fuel every day, all day. Guess what? There is a byproduct that comes from that, and it's called acidic waste. So now we're focusing on the last but the most important key to the four elements or the four kingdoms that I'm talking about for healing any disease. We have to focus on cellular elimination. See that? So we talked about what? Digestion. We went through whatever you digest, you have to learn how to absorb. Now, once you absorb it and it goes through the blood capillaries, you have to utilize it. Now, from that utilization, all these byproducts happen from it. You have to be able to eliminate what you just utilized, because you just utilized what you absorbed, and you didn't absorb anything but what you just digested. So now it's the elimination factor. How do I get my cells to poop? And once my cells poop, how do I eliminate my cellular waste? And that's by the lymphatic system. So now you have to go after the lymphatic system. You got to, because the lymphatic system and the lymph nodes is the only way to get out of cellular elimination, because you just eliminated what you utilized. You just utilized what you absorbed, and you just absorbed what you just ate, consumed, or digest. So now in order to open up the meridian pathways and the lymphatic vessels and to get the lymph nodes back open, you have to go after the lymph nodes first. You have to be able to replace all of the macrophages, the T cells, the B cells, all these different cells that you didn't got rid of because you've been on antibiotics and you've been on an acid diet all your life. You got to replace these things. 3 bitters. 3 bitters. And you need amazing herbs too, like the poke root. You need amazing herbs like the blood root, like the red root, like the cleaver's leaf, like the chaparral leaf. These are all lymphatic herbs, like the purple violet flower, like the red clover flower buds. Not the leaf of the red clover, but the bud of the red clover. These things actually opens up the meridian pathways, go through the lymphatic system, break up stagnation and coagulation. Then my 3 bitters that got quassia chip and bitter bush bark in it. You see what I'm saying? My 3 bitters actually is going to replace all the different macrophages and the good bacteria that you need inside the lymph nodes. Because guess what bacteria is created for? To not only break down your food and bring your food through the blood capillaries, through the absorption factors, but bacteria in your body also eats acids. So, and look, this is how you know that the body is naturally acidic anyway, y'all. So we got to get rid of this bullshit lie that the body is made to be alkaline. No, the body is naturally acidic. And look, it is so naturally acidic because your DNA, deoxyribonucleic acid. Then you have hydrochloric acid. Every DNA fragment in your body, which is 150 trillion cells, have its own acids in there naturally. Then every food you eat produces an acid. Even if it's an alkaline food, guess what? It's still going to leave an acid ash left on the cell because the cell have to poop. This fermentation is glucose acid. Period. Y'all look, y'all think I'm lying. Look this stuff up. So everything, the only thing that's alkaline inside your body is you have the salivary glands and you have the tonsils. These things produces something called amylose or amylose. Amylose is literally an alkaline saliva that helps break down alkaline food. Then you have your blood. Your blood is at a 7.45. That's alkaline. Then your lymphatic system. Your lymphatic system is even at a 6.3. So your lymphatic system is alkaline because the lymphatic system deals with acids. The blood is alkaline because the blood is what deals with the trace minerals and the utilization of oxygen. Alright, then the salivary glands actually produces something called trypsin and amylose, and these are alkaline because they break down alkaline foods. Other than these 3 things that I just spoke of, guess what, family? Oh, my bad too. The basal salts that is produced by the gallbladder and the kidney, that's alkaline too. I mean, by the gallbladder and the liver, that's alkaline too. Other than these 4 things, everything else on your body is acidic. So when you eat things, right, it becomes acidic because all of that friction and everything that the body yields and the energy that it takes, that fuel got to burn to make these processes happen. Now, check this out. This is deep. This is how you know God is amazing, right? He created the body with 150 trillion cells. Out of 150 trillion cells, 100 trillion cells is made up of bacteria. Guess what the main functionings of bacteria does? It eats acids. That makes sense that I would have more bacteria in my body than anything else because it eats acid and my body is actually functioning in an acidic medium at all times of the day. I'm burning acid right now just by explaining this acid shit to y'all. I'm burning acid right now. I'm sweating. That's called lactic acid. But I got good bacteria in my body that's eating all these acids up from burning my cells and causing cellular mitosis, cellular apoptosis, cellular uncontrollable divisions of the cells, cellular pathology. See, all of this is not happening because I have bacteria inside my lymphatic system. I have bacteria inside of my lymph nodes. I have macrophages, T cells, B cells, neutrophils, basophils, basophils. I got all types of shit that's just here to compensate for my body naturally burning fuel because its natural byproduct of burnt fuel is acidic. Don't it make sense, family? So now we got to realize how to open up to eliminate all this acidic waste. Because once the bacteria eat, guess what? Bacteria's got to poop too. And whatever you consume, you have to eliminate. Remember the 4 keys to the kingdom, which is digestion, absorption, utilization, and elimination. If it eats, it got to shit. So now we got the bacteria eating the acids, but now the bacteria is shitting out the acids right inside the lymphatic vessels. So now we got to get the lymphatic system moving, open up the kidneys and the nephrons, because the nephrons actually act as the filtering system of the kidneys, and then we can use the urethra, which is a pathway of elimination, or what they call a fontanelle, to truly get all of these acids out of the body. And this is what you call the 4 keys to the kingdom. All right, so we got digestion, absorption, utilization, and elimination. If you can master these 4 keys to the healing kingdom, you will be the best herbalist there is.
All right. If you made it to the end of this video, I told you he was going to go deep into healing your body from the inside out. Please share this video, like and subscribe to my channel. This is valuable information. There is no excuses on you staying sick. Your doctors are not going to tell you this valuable information because they need for you to depend on them to keep coming back to them. They're prescribing medications that's not healing you, and it's causing other health issues. Family and friends, please heal your body from the inside out by eating alkaline foods. With that being said, I'm Katrina Bliss Talk. I thank you for watching. Be safe, and I love you.